Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Jake Asman.
5 days out from the NFL draft, and our next guest knows a thing or two about what it's like to be in the draft war room and make some big-time selections. He's a former scout with the Eagles, Redskins, and Chiefs. Now he's the head over at Ourlads. He is the great Dan Shonka, and he joins us now in his weekly spot. Dan, as always, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
You betcha, Jake. Great being with you today.
5 days out, Dan. I mean, what is your level of excitement? I know you're breaking down tape. You're watching film on these guys year-round. How does it feel to be this close?
Well, I tell you what, we always called the Scout Super Bowl. So, you're working all year, and to find out where these guys end up landing is great. It'd be really exciting this year to see, who takes Kyle Pitts, where these 5 quarterbacks land, who pulls the trigger on the first receiver, Jamar Chase, most likely. But yeah, it's good. A lot of intrigue in this coming draft.
Compared to other draft classes, Dan, how many first-round grades do you usually give out, and how many do you guys have for this year's class?
Well, we usually go with about 32. Try to get that, but realistically, there's probably in the neighborhood of 25 guys, and then we always kind of figure that the next group is always kind of like the top of the second round too. So, and this year is really no different.
Looking at just the quarterback position here, we've had you on the show a lot, and you've been outspoken on Mac Jones. You guys have him as your second-ranked quarterback. A lot of debate on what the Niners are going to do at 3, of course. We all seem to think Lawrence goes 1, Zach Wilson goes 2. Explain to people why Mac Jones would make a lot of sense for the Niners with that 3rd pick.
Well, Jake, all the teams kind of look for a prototype for their player at any position. And I just think that Mac Jones is an excellent fit for the 49ers with that ball. I mean, the consistency, first of all, of Mac Jones, and that's one thing I think that Kyle Shanahan really appreciates, and all coaches appreciate consistency in any position. But Mac Jones to take it to another level. I mean, here's a guy that is when you ask him to throw the ball, he throws it with great anticipation, and the ball placement is excellent. His ball hits you right in stride if you're a receiver. You can count on where that ball is going to be, and so you don't have to, slow down, gear down, wait for the ball, what have you. And then his synapse from his brain to his hand, we talk about that. Boy, when he sees it, he can hit it right now.
Looking at the other options for the Niners in that spot, if they go Justin Fields or if they go Trey Lance, how would you evaluate those guys? Do you look at them as players that could play right away, or are they the type of player that maybe could use a year behind, let's say, Jimmy Garoppolo before they eventually become the guy?
Well, I'll tell you, Trey Lance definitely could use the extra year. No question about it. And, I think that, what Justin Fields gives the 49ers is another dimension, that run, the RPO. He pulls that ball and takes off around the edge. It's out the gate. I mean, next thing's going to stop him might be the goalpost and hits his head on it. So he's a tremendous talent and doesn't quite have the ball placement that obviously that Mac has, but he does so many things very well. And I tell you what, I'm going to throw it out there to you today too, Jake, that I'm not so sure that Zach Wilson is going to be a locket too. I think that they might be considering Justin Fields that second spot.
Very interesting that you say that. What have you heard from people in the know that is still a possibility with the Jets at 2?
Yeah, I think there's buzz out there that most folks think that that's what's going to happen. But also other colleagues say that they don't think that that's 100% yet. So that's part of the intrigue is going to take place on Thursday night.
Looking at Zach Wilson, I mean, he has, certainly risen through the ranks in this process. He had this incredible season in 2020 for BYU. What do you like about Zach Wilson, and what potentially concerns you about Zach Wilson at the next level if the Jets do take him with that second pick?
Well, I tell you, I mean, he makes a lot of splash plays. His off-balance throws, and you've got to be able to do that. When you're it's kind of like you're a surgeon, and when you cut open a knee or what have you, it isn't always like they taught you in medical school, and you've got to adapt to it. And I think that's Zach Wilson does a nice job of doing that. The thing that concerns me though a little bit would be, here's a guy from Draper, Utah, small town. BYU is just an absolute beautiful place, a smaller city. Then when you take him out to go to New York City, which is, they chew up a lot of people and spit them out. And also the other thing is those injuries. He's got, he's had both shoulders operated on. He had that thumb last year on. And, when you're banged up going in the NFL, it's not going to get any easier for you when you get in there. And so if he holds up physically, I think he's really going to be a good quarterback.
Dan Shonka, Ourlads NFL draft analyst, with us here in his weekly spot. Dan, looking at the debate on wide receiver versus offensive tackle here, it seems like the Bengals are going to be in a spot where they could take the best receiver, they could take the best offensive lineman. What would you do if you're running the Bengals?
I have got it, and I love Jamar Chase, and he may be the 2021 Rookie of the Year in the NFL next year, but you got to protect Joe Burrow, and I think Penei Sewell is probably going to be the guy. Really like Rashawn Slater a whole lot also. But if they go Sewell, I mean, I know why. I mean, they've got to protect. In fact, they probably ought to grab another offensive lineman along the way somewhere too. But you've got to protect Joe Burrow, and hopefully Joe going through his rehab understands that. Because I know he'd love to have Jamar Chase to throw to, but you got to be able to protect him so he can have a second year in the league.
Dan Shonka with us here. As far as the defensive prospects, Dan, the record for most consecutive picks in an NFL draft until a defensive player was picked is 7. That was back in 1999. It seems like there's a good chance we might not see a defensive player go in the top 10, perhaps. Where are you at with the defensive guys, and which team's going to make out like a bandit when there's a great player available for them? Certainly a lot later than in most years.
Right. Well, I think the first guy to come off the board defensively could be Patrick Surtain too, going at the 10th spot to the Cowboys. I just think that with the offense, obviously with Pitts up there, the 5 quarterbacks, you're already talking 6 right there. 2 offensive linemen probably in there. So there's 8, and we haven't even talked about the receivers. So I think that it's probably going to be the 10th pick in the draft before we see a defensive player come off the board.
Looking at the corners, Surtain obviously is up there with the best of the best. I see a lot of people like J.C. Horn, a lot of people like Newsome as well. It's just a very deep corner draft. You see all those guys going pretty early here in the first round.
Yeah, I think those guys will all be in that maybe middle to late of the first round. And then we don't want to forget about Caleb Farley. Now, he's just a great football player, and you worry about those back surgeries he's had. And as long as he passes the team physical, I think you're going to see him up there too. In fact, before when the season got started, now he opted out. We actually had him as our top corner ahead of Surtain, and then, we backed it off a little bit with the surgeries, and he opted out this year and everything. And of course, we got to see Surtain have an outstanding year, so I think that J.C. Horn is another one. I mean, he's a tremendously physical corner. He's probably going to be that second or third one. Just depends on what happens to Farley. But you got 3 really good ones there. We like Asante Samuel a whole lot. Also, and then like you mentioned, Greg Newsome. He plays that cat coverage, where you got that cat and he covers him. And so he's really. So we could maybe see 5 corners in that first round. 4 for sure.
Dan Shonka from Ourlads with us here. on Twitter at Ourlads_Shonka is where you can find a former scout with the Eagles, Redskins, and Chiefs as we talk all things draft here. Dan, how about the New York Jets as a whole in this draft? They're one of a couple teams here with multiple first-round picks. Who's a potential option for them at pick 23, assuming they go quarterback, likely Zach Wilson at number 2?
Well, one of our scouts is a big Jets guy, and I know when we did our mock draft, he put a running back in there at 23, and I guess I couldn't argue with them because I guess they're tired of, you take some pressure off whoever your new quarterback's going to be, and let them run the ball a little bit. And there's actually 2 good options, whether Najee Harris ends up going maybe to Miami or maybe to, they probably won't get to the Steelers if it's going to be the Jets' choice of Najee Harris or Travis Etienne, since Pittsburgh picks at 24 and the Jets are at 23. So the Jets very well might have the 2 top running backs on the board at their disposal if they decide to go that direction.
Another option for the Jets, at least a lot of the Jet fans that interact with, I mean, they would love Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. Do you see him being there at 23, or is there going to be a run on offensive linemen before the Jets could get him?
Well, he's the top guard, and some people like him even at tackle, Jake. So even though he doesn't have the length, you'd like to have a guy, say 6'5" and change, 6'6", and then longer arms and this and that. But I tell you, Vera Tucker's just a great football player, and there's too many stops along the way before he gets to the Jets. I think that, Minnesota would have some interest, obviously, and even Las Vegas would have some interest in him. And so I think it'd be tough. Tennessee would have some interest. It depends what happens with the Chargers. If they end up getting one of those 2 top tackles, he might have a lot of interest there. So I don't think the Jets are going to be lucky enough to see him.
Dan, who's your favorite prospect in this year's class? Who's the guy that you love putting the tape on, watching play, and you can't wait to see where they go?
I'd have to say Kyle Pitts. He's just a spectacular player. He and Jamar Chase, I think, are both going to be in the running for the Rookie of the Year. But again, it always depends on where they go and if they use them and how the coordinator is going to, work with them. Because so many times these really good players get drafted, then they kind of disappear. It's not their fault. It's that, the schemes change, quarterback gets injured or what have you. So, but I think Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase would probably be a close second.
Dan, 5 days away. Can't wait for it on Thursday. Continued success. I'm glad I had my Ourlads draft guide. I look forward to reading it all week leading up to the draft on Thursday.
You betcha, Jake. Thank you so much. Always great being with you.
Absolutely. Dan Shonka from Ourlads with us there. You can find him on Twitter at Ourlads_Shonka. He joined us right there on our Progressive guest line, quoting home insurance. It just got easier with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, quote and buy all online at progressive.com. Quick break, and we continue. This is the Jake Asman Show with you till 6 Eastern right here on Sports Map Radio.